What's up, world? And this is what was happening during the immigration crisis. And what made him change his mind is when you start having the Republic go against you and there's things leaking out, you're losing the Republicans' vote. But the whole thing was holding these kids there was just a ploy by Trump to try to get the Democrats to come to the table to negotiate about a wall. So basically, you was holding the children for barter. And that was a bad idea. Very bad idea. And it led to this fallout that may sway them to lose midterms. Because that's what all this is for, midterms.
Change the laws. Now is the best opportunity ever for Congress to change the ridiculous and obsolete laws on immigration. Get it done, always keeping in mind that we must have a strong border security. Joining me now is Senator Tina Smith, Democrat of Minnesota. Nice to have you here. Thanks for joining us.
It's good to be with you.
All right, so on this issue of family separation at the border, you made it very clear in the last 12 hours, you're now calling for DHS Secretary Kirstjen Nielsen to step down, to resign. Why?
Well, I think there is a reason that Minnesotans and this whole country are transfixed by what we are seeing and hearing
This
on
is
this
why
border of our country.
he
We
did it.
are using cruelty to children as a public policy, and that is so wrong. Anybody who's walked into the sanctuary of a church and heard the nativity story knows that this is wrong. I called on Secretary Nielsen to resign because not only is she implementing this policy on the one hand, but on the other hand, she is denying that it is a policy. She has got to resign. She has lost all credibility.
Well, Senator, to her point, I mean, this is not a new policy. This is a policy that was in place under the Obama administration. It's the practice of it that it effectively separates children from their parents at the border. And her pushback to that, Nielsen's pushback to questions just like yours yesterday, she said, surely it's the beginning of the unraveling of democracy when the body who makes the laws, rather than changing them, meaning Congress, asks the body who enforces laws not to enforce the laws. That cannot be the answer. What's your response to that?
Well, my response to that is that this administration announced a new policy, a zero tolerance policy, which results in separating children from their parents. And if the president doesn't like this policy, he says it's terrible, then he could change it right now by making one phone call. Now, I want to be clear, if he refuses to do that, which it seems as if he will, we have a bill in Congress, the bill that I'm co-sponsoring with Senator Dianne Feinstein. 49 Democrats have signed on to that, but we don't need that. All the president needs to do is to change this policy that he announced just recently.
This is the Keep Families Together Act that you've proposed with
Yes.
Senator Feinstein. Also, you proposed the Help Separated Children Act that would do such things as make sure parents can call and arrange for their care of their children when they face arrest or detention. You say you have 49 Democrats on board with the Keep Families Together Act. Do you have any Republican support for either of these pieces of legislation?
So my bill addresses this challenge that we have in our country right now, which are children with parents who are undocumented. Those parents might get caught up in an immigration raid at their place of work. And what happens to the children? They are left either at home or maybe at a babysitter with the parent then has no ability to make sure that the parent is safe. That the child is safe. My bill has 27 Democratic co-sponsors, no Republicans, and I think that's a real shame because this is a problem that is affecting children in our country right now.
So here's what Senator Marco Rubio of Florida has said in response to all of this. He said, quote, releasing those who unlawfully enter because they came with the children creates a cruel incentive to bring children on the dangerous journey. He's talking about the catch and release practice that was utilized throughout the prior administration. And really up until more recently. Does he have a point that if you just continue that practice, that it incentivizes traffickers to bring children to the border?
Well, our country needs comprehensive immigration reform. There is no doubt about that. But what we have happening now...
Is he right, Senator? Is he right that catch and release incentivizes this dangerous practice?
What we have happening right now is we have parents bringing their children to our country seeking asylum. They're refugees. escaping violence. And the fact that what we are doing then is cruelly separating these children from their parents is unconscionable. I believe it's immoral, and that is the immediate problem that we need to fix right now.
I hear that, and I talked about your legislation that would end that. But do you think Senator Rubio, your Republican counterpart, is right that catch and release doesn't work and that it can be dangerous?
I think that what we need to do is have comprehensive immigration reform in this country. That is absolutely essential.
Listen to what Secretary Nielsen said just yesterday when she was asked about the conditions under which these children are being held.
It is important to note that these minors are very well taken care of. Don't believe the press. They are very well taken care of.
That was her speaking earlier in the day before the White House press briefing to a big group of sheriffs. Have you visited any of these detention centers? Have you seen firsthand the conditions under which these children are being held?
I haven't had a chance to visit the detention centers, but my colleagues have, and we've all seen the pictures. We have children that are as young as 4 who are in warehouse type situations in cages with nothing but space blankets, no parents, nobody that they know there that that they can trust. And I don't even understand how parents are going to ever be reunited with these children. That to me does not sound like a situation that is good for children. In fact, I believe that it will cause great trauma. And we've heard from experts in child development that say that these children could be living with the trauma that our government is causing for years to come. That is so wrong.
Very quickly before you go, as a Democrat in Congress who can help affect change, what are you willing to give on this? What give will you make to end this practice?
I have supported policies and legislation that would enhance our security while also moving forward with comprehensive immigration reform. But the most important thing right now is that we have a crisis. We have a humanitarian crisis, and we can fix it right now by the president making a phone call.
So you will vote for funding for a border wall?
I have been clear that I support a strong border. I think a border wall is a bad idea, but I think that we need to have strong border security. The point, though, here is that we have almost universal agreement that we should not be separating cruelly these children from their parents, and that's what we should be focusing on fixing right now.
Senator Tina Smith, appreciate you being with us today. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right, stocks falling as the president threatens new tariffs on Chinese goods, $200 billion worth. China says it will fight back. We're live at the New York Stock Exchange.
History of Comedy returns, and all the big comedians are very excited. History of Comedy, coming this July on CNN.
That really is this frequent.
Stocks taking a big hit today on Wall Street. Trade war fears are at the heart of it. Let's get straight to Allison Kostick at the New York Stock Exchange. Good morning. What are you seeing?
Good morning, Poppy. We are seeing the Dow sitting at its lowest level of the morning. The Dow down 410 points. This adds more questions surround this trade war or trade war dispute, if you want to call it. Not exactly at war status yet. It's more of a war of words. And investors don't know where all that tough talk is going to end. The latest skirmish happening on Friday when President Trump vowed to slap a 25% tariff on $50 billion worth of Chinese exports, something that he said would take effect on July 6th. China vowing to retaliate and throw tariffs on some top American exports like soybeans and pork and crude oil and cars. Well, the Trump administration coming out last night saying if China retaliates, we're going to up the ante. Trump promising a tariff on $200 billion worth of Chinese goods. That's spooking the market, sending the Dow down, as I said, over 400 points. One thing to keep in mind, Poppy, right now, as I said, this is just a war of words. None of these tariffs, except those on steel and aluminum, have actually been implemented. So a lot of this is based on what ifs, but it's those what ifs that are really undercutting confidence in the market. And the big worry is if these tariffs take effect, they could really take a big bite of economic growth out of economic growth here in the U.S. Poppy?
Allison, thank you very much. Just 1 week after his summit with President Trump, North Korea's Kim Jong-un is in China today, meeting with President Xi Jinping. According to Chinese state media, the Chinese leader is praising Kim for how he handled the sit-down with Mr. Trump. or Matt Rivers is in Beijing. This is extraordinary in the amount of meetings they two have had. This is the third meeting between Xi Jinping and Kim Jong-un in Beijing in as many months.
Yeah, I think, Poppy, if you asked most experts on this topic 6 months ago, would by June, the middle of June, will we have seen these two men meet in China 3 separate times? I think you would have gotten a resounding no for most experts. And yet here we are, Kim Jong-un making a relatively surprising visit here to meet with Xi Jinping to talk about that summit, to brief Xi Jinping about the summit, to talk about what was said between Donald Trump and Kim Jong-un, maybe what didn't make it into the statement, maybe how North Korea actually views the definition of denuclearization. But what's clear is that China will have a role in these negotiations moving forward. And at the same time, these two men are meeting, despite President Trump last Friday saying that he actually planned to talk to North Korea, to Kim Jong-un over the weekend. That call never happened.
We're also learning, Matt, a little bit more about how Americans are feeling overall in the days following the summit between the two leaders, right?
Yeah, we're getting some new polling out from CNN this morning that asked a couple of different questions. One of them being, how do Americans think Donald Trump is handling the North Korea situation? 48% of people say they approve, 40% say they disapprove. That approval number actually down 5 points since May. Another question respondents were asked was the outcome of the Trump meeting with Kim Jong-un. What is it? How is it viewed? 38% say it's a major achievement, 29% say it's a minor achievement, 27% say no achievement at all. But, like we were talking about, Poppy, it's going to take a long time, I think, to comprehensively understand if this summit is a success, because by Donald Trump's measure, only complete, verifiable, irreversible denuclearization is the success way down the road. And yet that's going to be way down the road. So we just don't have an idea yet of exactly how successful this summit can be, just given how difficult this situation is.
Matt Rivers, thank you very much. Live for us in Beijing. Appreciate the reporting. Ahead for us, they work for Fox, but some of Hollywood's biggest names are slamming its news decision for the coverage of families separated at the border. Brian Stelter is with me next on that.
On the next United Shades of America, Kamau goes to Canada.
Why do you think Canada sort of has that reputation of being inclusive and inviting everybody in? It's not so much a reputation as it is a fact.
United Shades of America. New episode Sunday night at 10.
BMW, the ultimate driving machine. Hurry into the BMW Summer On sales event, now through July 2nd.
Your brain changes as you get older, but Prevagen helps your brain with an ingredient originally discovered in jellyfish. In clinical trials, Prevagen has been shown to improve short-term memory. Prevagen, the name to remember.
It's 99-cent Kids Nights at Golden Corral. Every night, kids eat and drink for just 99 cents. Under $1. Woo! It's prime time for family time every night. Come on now. Golden Corral, your choice of rules.
I'm here for an important reason. Colon cancer screening. If you're age 50 or older and at average risk, Cologuard finds cancer and precancer. And it's a non-invasive test you can use at home. In fact, I'm as easy as get, go, gone. How do you get me? Your doctor orders me, and I'm delivered directly to your doorstep. There's no need for time off or special prep because I use the DNA in your stool to find colon cancer. Then you just go. I mean, collect your sample. Then I'm gone. Just ship me to the lab. Gotta go.
Cologuard is intended for individuals at average risk for colon cancer. Cologuard is not for high-risk individuals, including those with a history of colon cancer or polyps, IBD, certain hereditary cancer syndromes, or a family history of colon cancer. Cologuard, colon cancer screening that's as easy as get, go, gone. Ask your doctor if Cologuard is right for you.
Love that.
All right, Adam, show me the movies.
Thanks for the invite. Front row, nobody puts baby in a corner.
Yeah, I'll pre-order what she's having.
Son, blast off. Yeah, yippee-ki-yay, movie lovers.
Introducing Atom Tickets.
Is that too much?
Download the Atom app and get $5 off your first ticket.
What can I get you? A vodka soda, please. The twist? Sure. Pickle juice? No, thank you. That's blue. I ordered a vodka soda. You just put candy in there? That's a gross thing. That's smells hot. Happy birthday. Wow. Sip slow.
Beer, please.
Want that dirty?
Dirty beer.
We use Angie's List because we can always find great local pros.
For any type of home project.
I use Angie's List if I need to find a plumber,
An electrician.
A painter.
I always use Angie's List because it's free.
It's free for me to read reviews written by real customers.
We can check their reputation to make sure they do quality work. And now, to save time, Angie's List can actually match my project to a few qualified pros who can do the job.
To get the most reviews from real customers, all for free, go to angieslist.com today.
Closed captioning brought to you by OnlyMeso.com.
Mesothelioma. It's all we do. With 7 offices across the country, let us come meet with you. Call us at 1-800-213-8000.
Movie director and producer Judd Apatow has had enough of the way that Fox News defends the White House's separation of families at the border. He's calling on those who work for Fox to speak out against the news division's coverage. Listen to this.
This is one of those moments that tells you everything about our ruling class. They care far more about foreigners than about their own people. No one likes the idea of separating any child from any parent, but this issue has been in the hands of Congress. And right now, the whole issue can be fixed. Every law can be changed. And if they did their job, it would happen.
So since more illegal immigrants are rushing the border, more kids